Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to BCI Courtside Live. I'm Clark Kellogg. This is also the last of 4 BCI Courtside Live events. So thrilled that you're able to join us tonight, and very much looking forward to our conversation with some pro basketball players and coaches. And as always, fans out there, please remember to write in questions for the guys throughout our hour-long show. They'll appear just below the video area for this evening, and we'll be sure to get to as many of them as possible. And with that, I'd like to have you meet our participants tonight. First, he's a familiar face to many of you that have joined prior BCI Courtside Live events, Anthony Toliver. His pro career started in 2007 with the Iowa Energy of the NBA Development League before going abroad to play in Germany. Following his stint overseas, he signed with the San Antonio Spurs in July 2008, spent the early part of the season between San Antonio and Austin of the D-League. Toliver spent the last 5 years playing for Golden State, Minnesota, Atlanta, Charlotte, Phoenix, and finished this season with the Detroit Pistons. Anthony and his wife Jessica have 2 boys, Isaiah and Lennox. Welcome, Anthony. Good to see you.
Good to be seen. How you doing?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look forward to visiting with you. Our other participant tonight, Adrian Griffin, just finished his first season as assistant coach with the Orlando Magic, spent the previous 5 seasons as an assistant coach with the Chicago Bulls. During the summer of 2014, he worked with USA Basketball men's national team that won the gold medal at the FIBA Basketball World Cup. Prior to joining the Bulls, he served as an assistant coach player development for 2 seasons with Milwaukee under Scott Skiles. Had a 9-year NBA playing career. He played in Boston, Houston, Chicago, and Seattle, and in 2006 helped Dallas reach the NBA Finals. Griffin also played 1 season in Italy and 3 seasons with Connecticut of the CBA, where in 1999, he was named Most Valuable Player and Finals MVP, leading Connecticut to the league championship. Both of you guys are family guys, as am I, with children. Talk a little bit about the dynamic with your careers as players and coaches in balancing the family and the basketball side of your lives. And Adrian, I'll start with you there.
Obviously it's very tough on everyone. The travel, 82 games, the preseason, the postseason. So as a coach and as a player, you miss out on a lot of the things that you would, normally be at as far as, school plays and just, you miss so much, but it's a trade-off to everything you do. It's probably a little harder on the kids because, I've been on a lot of different teams, a lot of different cities, so you have to uproot them and drop them in a new school system. So that is very difficult, but like I said, in every in every profession, there's always pros and cons, like anything else.
How old are your how old are your children, Adrian?
My oldest is 19, Vanessa. Then I have obviously 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest son, Alan, is 16. My youngest daughter is Aubrey. She's 14, and my youngest son, Adrian Jr., is 12.
Yeah, so they actually were young as you were playing basketball, and then even as a coach, so they've seen it pretty much their entire lives, that dynamic of playing and or coaching with their dad.
Right. So it's you want to give them advantage, like all parents, and they've been around basketball their whole lives. They've been exposed to a lot more things that I could ever have dreamt of, as a kid. So that's one thing that you, as a parent, you feel good about, just trying to give them the best opportunity as possible.
Have any of your children picked up the basketball?
All of them have played. They're pretty good ball players. I think they're a lot better than I was at their age. And like we just discussed, they've been around the game since they could walk, so they better be.
Anthony, talk about juggling that balance between pro basketball player and family. And how old are your children?
So my son, he is Isaiah. He is 3 years old, and my daughter Lennox, she is 7 months old. So, I haven't reached that point yet where Adrian is and where he was, as a player, as far as having to uproot them or do any of that type of stuff, take him out of school. It's pretty easy right now, but I know it's definitely not easy on my wife. She's been unbelievable. I've been a journeyman of sorts in this league, so kind of been all over the place, and she's been incredible. To basically just get up and move whenever it's time to go, and not complaining about it, just accepting the lifestyle for what it is. And like Adrian said, I mean, there's so many advantages that we get to bring to our kids and to our wives and to our family members because of the financial situation, and not even just that, but just the experiences that we get to experience and do things that most people don't ever dream of doing. So it's definitely important to balance that, because if you don't, it's gonna backfire on you and your family. So I think that my wife especially has done a great job of just giving me the freedom to make decisions based upon basketball situations and different stuff like that. That has allowed me to really be confident in the decisions that I make. That obviously directly affects her and our children.
Yeah. You both talked a little bit about the opportunities that your kids are afforded because of what you do. And what, if anything, is a drawback or a negative to being a pro basketball coach and a pro basketball player? You touched on a little bit, but if there was one thing or two things you might highlight, what might be what might be the other side of that coin? There's certainly some positives, but what might be some of the negatives, Anthony?
I would definitely say time away. That's the biggest. Of course, we do have pretty long off season, but even as Adrian knows, as you're familiar with, as well, in this league, it's about once you get in, it's about staying in, and so you might take a few weeks off after the season's over with, but I'm already back in the gym preparing for the next season, and so it's a lot of time away. I mean, of course, it's not 9 to 5. It's not like it's not obviously it's not like your normal job, but it is a lot of time away and a lot of sacrifice, physically and emotionally that we have to take away from our family and take away from at home, that we have to go sacrifice in order to stick around, for as long as we've been able to, and for as long as Adrian did, and for as long as I have. So it takes a lot of sacrifice, and but it's all worth it at the end of the day if you do it the right way.
Yeah, Adrian, now as you have pursued your coaching career over the last 10 plus years, talk a little bit about that negative side of it, if you would.
Well, I think obviously one of the drawbacks is that in our profession is that you miss a lot of the kids' events. You miss a lot of the basketball games and recitals and whatnot. And I'm probably giving away my age, but I think the good thing nowadays is that you have FaceTime, you have all kinds of technology now to keep up on, um, maybe catching a game or whatnot, and video. So it's a little better, but it's nothing like being there, showing your support. Um, that's why the constant communication is so important. Calling them in the morning or after school, ask them how their day went. Like I said before, with the FaceTime at night, and just let them know that you're making an effort. And I think that's all children really want to see, is that you're making an effort. And it's challenging, but at the same time, I think uh, you know with technology and everything the way it is, it's definitely a lot better than it was, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Anthony touched on this. Obviously, it is the off season for all but two teams right now in the NBA. Talk a little bit about what this time of year is like for you, Adrian, as a coach, and what you're doing now, and what kind of time you might have off. And then, Anthony, I'd like you to follow up. You mentioned you're already working out, but kind of give the listeners a sense of what your routine is. So, Adrian, what's going on now with you as an assistant coach?
Well, as a player, the off season is the time to get better. It's a time to work on your weaknesses. And as a coach, you have to take that same approach. I do a lot of reading. I try to go to some clinics or leadership conferences. You're constantly working on yourself. As a player, your weakness may be driving with your opposite hand or extending your range. As a coach, you might practice on your delivery. How do you articulate your message, or how do you build better relationships with the players? You're always looking for the edge. You're always looking for ways to improve. So as a coach, it's never ending. If you look at the way the league is now, a lot of it's gotten much younger. So as a coach now, you have to learn different ways how to connect with this new generation. They grew up on the technology, and it's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't fight it. You have to learn ways to incorporate that into your teaching and how to connect with the players. So you're always learning something, and I think that's the fun part about coaching, is that it never stops. And building those relationships with the players is probably one of the greatest rewards that you can have.
Anthony, your off season, obviously you've started working out, and tell the folks a little bit about what the rest of your time off kind of looks like as we move into June.
Yeah, so June is kind of the month that I really start ramping it up a little bit. I kind of gradually ramp it up so that when I'm going into August, September, right before training camp, that I'm doing the longest and hardest workouts and doing everything to where getting in shape, getting ready for the season. But just kind of on a daily, I just work out in the weight room and do my strength and conditioning kind of in the morning, and afternoon is dedicated to doing my craft and working on the things like Adrian said, the things that that I feel like I want to bring into the next season, but also really important is continuing to hone in on the craft and on the things that I've done well in the past that's gotten me here. So I've always been a player that's kept it pretty simple. So in the off season I don't go try and work on 17 different things. I might add one or two little things that in the past that I wasn't as efficient at, but for the most part, I know what I do, and I know who I am as a player, and it's kept me in the league this long, and I have a good feeling that it's going to keep me in the league for quite a while longer. So so that's kind of how it goes. I mean, those are the things I do, and the rest of the day is dedicated to chasing my 3-year-old around and trying to keep him from getting into too much trouble, and trying to get him to take naps and stuff like that, which is pretty impossible. But it's a battle every day with him.
What kind of time do you commit to your workout during the off season? Give our listeners a sense of what kind of time you're spending in your strength and conditioning, and then your on court skill development work on a daily basis as you move through the summer.
Yeah, so I do a program. I live in the Dallas, Fort Worth area. I do a program at a gym called Michael Johnson Performance, and those workouts are about 2 hours. So I do a couple of those like 2 times a week in June, 3 times a week in July, 4 times a week in August. Like I said, I just ramp it up more and more. And so they're very highly intense, super efficient workouts, and we do everything as far as injury prevention type stuff. Stuff that you don't do yourself because you don't know that type of stuff, but it's all the professionals, you know. That's why I paid them to do it, to put me in those programs, because, you know, I wouldn't know, you know, all the different ins and outs of you know, preventing my knees from, you know, getting blown out, and my ankles and my Achilles. You know, as I get older, it's even more so important to really work on my body and make sure that my body can withstand 82 games, and hopefully more, you know, throughout the playoffs and everything else. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of my program over the summer. So that's a couple hours a day, and then you know, my basketball. I've been really a believer in my entire career about it's about quality over quantity. So, you know, I've never been one of those guys that, you know, you hear stories about, oh, he was in the gym 5-6 hours. It's like, can you really get better? You know, 5 or 6 hours. I mean, that you're not doing much if you can last 5 or 6 hours. You know, so, you know, I try to get in there about an hour and a half, go really hard, shoot game speed, game time shots, and get an amazing sweat and get a great workout in, and get out of there. And, you know, and like I said, go, you know, do other things and be a normal human being, you know,
Yeah,
because,
gotcha.
you know, if you're in the gym, you can, like I said, more power to you if that's what's made you better over the years. But, you know, I know that this has worked for me since high school. You know, since high school, I've never been a big, oh, let's stay in the gym all day long. But, you know, it's, you know, hour and a half, maximum 2 hours in the gym, you know, doing my shots and my drills, and I'm out.
Yeah. Adrian, talk about that from a coaching standpoint. To me, it seems that the pressure and the workload on coaches never lets up. It seems like it's always on you, whether you're improving yourself, whether you're helping other guys improve. How do you try to find that kind of quality versus quantity balance that Anthony just talked about in terms of working out? With the coaching profession, it seems like it might be a little more challenging to do that.
Well, you know, from a player standpoint, it's 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 physically and mentally. For coaches, it's more just a mental grind, and physically sometimes because you're on the floor working with players. But for the most part, you know, you're watching a lot of video, breaking down a lot of film, trying to stay current with the trends in the NBA. Now everything is you know, the range shooting fours, and every team is kind of utilizing a 3-point shot. You know, when I was playing, it was mostly, you know, primarily you still had your traditional bigs, you know, your center and the power forward. Now, you know, if you watch Golden State, you know, they throw out 5 guards out there. So, you know, how do you defend that? You know, and obviously, when it comes to Golden State, you can't, because they have two of the best shooters in the world, of Curry and Thompson. So you can watch all the film in the world you want to, but it's until you see them in person. I mean, it's remarkable what those guys are doing. But you know, that's the league. That's what makes it fun, to take that challenge of, okay, how do we um, prepare for, you know, the Cleveland Cavaliers when they have, you know, the best player in the world, one of the best players in the world. And so you're always looking for the edge. You know, I read a lot of books, uh, study a lot of film. Um, I even have, you know, a trainer for myself. He's a sports psychologist out in Milwaukee with Cortex Performance. And so, you know, we drill a lot of things about, you know, philosophy. And, you know, I've been on head coaching interviews. So, you know, I use that time with him to prepare and just develop, you know, my leadership, you know, philosophy. So you're always looking for ways to improve, because if you don't, this league will leave you behind.
Yeah. Impressive that you would seek out a coach to help you grow in your particular craft as a coach, much like Anthony has a trainer that helps him try to improve his performance. Got a couple of questions here I'd like to get to, and one of them you kind of set me up for, Adrian. It's from Damone Franklin. We've got this NBA Finals rematch about to commence in a few days, and you talked about Golden State and the prolific shooters they have. How do you see the matchup playing out, and who do you think comes out on top? And then, Anthony, I'd like you to answer that question as well.
Well, one, I think it's going to be just a fantastic finals. Um, it's hard to go against Golden State just because they do have two of the best shooters that this league has, has seen or maybe have ever seen. Um, but you know, LeBron is a winner. You know, this is, I believe, his sixth straight trip to the
Yeah,
finals, and he's going to
yeah,
try to will his team to victory. But I will say this though, you know, last year I give a lot of credit to Cleveland just for hanging in there because you know they were very undermanned, and they tried to slow down the pace. You know, a lot of ISOs with LeBron, try to keep Golden State out of transitioning up and down. At the end of the day, obviously Golden State was too much for them. But now this Cleveland team this year is they revamped, they're healthy, so I think it's going to be exciting finals. You know, either way, even if Oklahoma City had won last night, that still would have been a fantastic series. So
hmm
it's an exciting time for the NBA in general. So I'm looking forward to it.
yeah. Damone wanted you to give a prediction, though. He liked your analysis and the breakdown, but Damone is anxious for a prediction. You got to be like I am in the studio. You can give all of that analysis, and at the end of the day, they want you to pick somebody. So, Adrian, who do you like to win it?
Wow, you put me on the spot here.
Yeah, got to, man. You're sitting right in that nice, comfortable seat where you are.
I'm gonna go against the masses here, and I'm gonna go with Cleveland in six.
You're going with Golden State, you
So I'm
said?
going with Cleveland in six.
Oh, Cleveland is six. Okay, I misheard you.
I
Okay, you're
like
going with the
I
Cavs at
like the
six.
underdog. I've always been an underdog my whole career, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
stay true to
hmm
form and just go with the underdog on this.
All right, excellent. Anthony, you had a chance to see Cleveland up close as you guys had them in that first round of the playoffs. Your young team competed extremely well. So, talk a little bit about what you see unfolding in this NBA Finals.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up with what basically what he was saying is same exact thing. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about Cleveland as well. I really feel that them going pushing the Warriors to six with without Kyrie, without K-Love, without Channing Frye, without multiple of the pieces that they have right now, and some of the guys that even that they had were not healthy. They're fully
hmm
healthy this year. Um, it's the finals that everybody wanted to see last year, and so I really feel that you know I'm going against the grain as well. Even though I'm great friends with Steph, talk to him all the time on the phone. Uh, I'm staying with my prediction of Cleveland making taking the upset and figuring out a way to get them a championship to the city of Cleveland.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I'm a Cleveland native, so I'd love to see the Cavaliers do it, and I'm excited about the matchup as well to see a healthy Cleveland team with the way those guys have grown and come together. If they can defend at a high level when they need to, I think they've got a great chance. The champions are the champions, though, and I think it's going to be really hard for Cleveland to rise to that level. But I think they're ready, and I think they will. So all three of us are on record as saying it's going to be a celebration in Cleveland. That's
Yeah, well, I think that they have a unique combination, right? So they obviously have LeBron, so
mhm,
that is a great equalizer when it comes to basketball. If you have a player like
no
that,
question, no
I
question.
mean, Steph is Steph and Clay is Clay, but LeBron is also LeBron. So he's someone that can literally will his team to win, as he did, a couple times in that series last year. But I really feel that he is he is so good that and he makes his teammates even better than sometimes they really are. He just believes in them so much that they start believing so much in themselves. And I just think that combination, and so that they also have size and rebounding, which hurts
Mm-hmm.
Golden State, as we saw with Oklahoma City. So they have the rebounding, but they can also shoot. Whereas Oklahoma City wasn't hitting threes, Cleveland can, and they've shown it throughout the playoffs. And I just think they have a unique combination this year, man, especially adding Channing Frye to the mix as well. I think that it's going to be a great series. Don't get me wrong, but I just for some reason, just ever since I saw that this was going to be a matchup, I thought Cleveland was going to get it.
Yeah. Well, before I let you turn it back over to Adrian here, I've got another question specifically for you, Anthony, and this is from Annette Lilly. She says, how do you balance being a businessman, ball player, and father? And obviously you've got your shirt on there, and we'll give you a chance to talk about that. But first, that question, how do you balance those three, businessman, father, husband, and baller?
Well, it's just about time management and keeping my priorities in order. And at the end of the day, obviously during the season, I got to go take care of business on the court and do what I got to do there. But like I said earlier, as far as in the off season, when I'm doing my basketball, I'm all in. I'm taking care of my business and making sure that I'm efficient with my time and I'm not in the gym 4 or 5 hours whenever I don't need to be. So that's a big part of it is time management and making sure that I take care of that. And then the rest of my day is almost all of it dedicated to my kids and to my wife. And as far as the business stuff goes, I try to kind of do that in between. So if we're in the car, driving to a trampoline park for the kids, well, I know it's going to be 20 minutes. Well, I'm going to answer about 2 or 3, 4 emails, during that time instead of doing it while we're at home. Because if I'm at home, I want to be present, and so it's very important to me to make sure that my kids not only see me, but get a chance to play with me. Anytime my son says, "Hey, come play with me," "Hey, let's go outside," "Hey, let's do whatever," like almost certainly I'm going to stop what I'm doing and do it, because I think that that's very important. Instead of us being the busy parents, oh, wait, later, it's like by the time, you have enough time to go play with them, they might be 15, 20 years old, and, I don't want to look up and regret, not taking advantage of those times. So, for me, it's about prioritizing, making sure that I put, first of all, put God first, and then, put my family, my wife, and my kids. Obviously, get my work done so that we can continue to live the life that we live, and then the business stuff. Like I said, it trickles in whenever I can, and make sure that I get that done whenever I get the opportunity.
Yeah, Adrian, Anthony made some good points there about putting first things first. You've had a long career in basketball as a player and coach. What enables you to put first things first? What is the driving force that allows you to keep first things first as you balance a lot of different demands on your time and your emotion and your energy? How do you lock in to putting first things first?
Well, I think fortunate for me, I had a great role model in my father. He was a minister for 25 years. So, he taught me the importance of having a relationship with God and just keeping your priorities in line. You can't give 100% to everything, but when you're with your kids, you can give 100% to them at that moment with your attention. When I'm with my fiance, I try to give 100% to her, even though she thinks I'm not listening half the time, but I am. It's
We're all guilty of that one on occasion.
and a lot.
Absolutely.
I always say life is the best teacher. We all go through things, and you learn how what's really important at the end of the day. Like when you first starting out, as a player, you're all about I got to get a contract. I got to get this certain amount of money. But as you put some years under your belt, you realize the most important thing is winning and winning the championship. And now as a coach, I kind of got it down where I know what's really important. And obviously, your work is important, but your family, your friends and close relationships are equally just as important.
Was there a specific time or occurrence when that light kind of came on for you, where you began to see the bigger picture and be able, and you got a little better at being able to put first things first and prioritize? Was there some specific occasion or some specific event that kind of made that happen for you, Adrian?
Well, I think for me, it goes all the way back to draft night. Um, I was a pretty good college player, and I thought I had a chance of getting drafted. And like so many other ball players, it just wasn't in the cards for me. And as I sat there, I didn't know what to do. Your whole dream is to play in the NBA, and I watched the entire 96 draft, and my father, who um, he had to work late that night, so when he came home, you know, he asked me how I went. I said, I gave him the bad news. I didn't get drafted and whatnot. So it was about 12 o'clock at night, and he said, hey, let's just go for a drive. So I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas. So 12:30 at night, we just drove around on the outskirts of Wichita, and it was pitch black, and I didn't. After a while, it was about an hour, and we're still driving, and his silence, and he never said a word until finally he turned to me and he said, son, God told me that you're going to make the NBA. And he said, don't give up on your dreams, son. And I took that to heart. I still get a little emotional thinking about it because he passed away in 2000. But I went into the CBA, the minor leagues, for 3 years, and that's where I learned the value of faith and hard work. And you can't have one without the other. A lot of people have hard work, but they don't have faith, and a lot of people have faith, but they don't have the work ethic to go along with it. And that's something my father taught me. If you believe in something, your works will represent your faith. And I learned like it's perseverance. And that's where like a lot of my priorities started to line up. Is that I when you have a single goal, the Bible talks about if your eye is single, um, and you're focused and totally locked in, and you're willing to pay the price, you could achieve anything, in life. And I've always remembered that, from those lessons from my father.
Wow, significant turning point at a time when you were at your lowest based on what you had hoped for and not being drafted. And I remember you as a college player, and I thought too you had a chance to play in the NBA, and it was just a different route that you had to take to make it happen. But just hearing you talk about the connection between faith and work, and James talks about it in the scriptures that faith without deeds is dead.
Absolutely.
And that there is a connection and a relationship between exercising your faith by what you do. You bring up something that I want to touch on with Anthony too, and I'm just going to assume that because of all that you've just told us about your dad, that he would probably top the list of heroes for you. Is there anybody else, or am I wrong in saying that?
No, my father by far. Um, just I was fortunate because at a young age, um, he was in the military for about 9 years, and then all of a sudden he came home, just out the blue. You know, when you're a kid living on the base, you know, on the naval base, it's like a big, you know, playhouse, you know, because it's completely guarded, it's completely safe. You can go anywhere you want. I mean, we just had a blast, you know. But one day he came home and he said that God wanted him to preach and that he was retiring from the service, and we packed up all our stuff and we moved to a small town in Alice, Texas, and he took over a church and we basically started from scratch. And he put himself through you know, Bible school at Rhema in Tulsa, Rhema Bible school, and he you know, he cleaned buildings and mopped floors and all that stuff, and my brother and I went along with him. And then, you know, we picked up cans, we mowed lawns. So he taught me how to work, you know, and not to make excuses. And then, you know, shortly after that, we moved back to Wichita, Kansas, and, you know, he started a church, and we only had it was only two families that help, you know, birth the church. And then, you know, it started to grow. And shortly after that, you know, he's called to be home with the Lord. But I always remember his determination, you know, you know, he grew up without a father and a mother, but he was determined to be something. His faith was unbelievable, and
Wow.
you learn a lot, you know, just from watching him. You know, he was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volume.
Wow. Powerful. What was your dad's name, Adrian?
David Griffin from Wichita.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he was in the military, then he turned preacher. I'd always say, you know, he would beat me and then pray for me. That's how he kept. That's how he kept me in line.
Well, I tell you what, he did a heck of a job instilling in you some real good fruit that you've carried on in your own life, man, and that's awesome to hear you share that. Anthony, let's move to you and perhaps a hero in your journey to this point in your life, if you wouldn't mind sharing who that person might be.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about who that would be for me, and you know, that's my mother. She was a teacher for 31 years, and you know, was just an amazing person. She actually passed away in 2008. So just suddenly out of the blue, and you know, I was only 23 years old, but it was one of those things. Whenever she passed, it made me realize that she had taught me everything I needed to know to live a fulfilling life. And you know, it's unfortunate that so many people, you know, have bad relationships with their mom or with their dad or sisters or brothers, you know, with their family. And you know, it really made me realize how much more important family is than, you know, just about anything else. You know, obviously, like we talked about faith, you know, being number one, but you know, as far as on this planet, man, it's so much more important, you know, to just spend time, you know, because that's our currency that we only have a limited amount of. You can, you know, in this while you're here, you can make a bunch of money, you can do a bunch of different things, you know, with your time, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, it just made me realize how important every single second I get to spend with my kids. Every single second I get to spend with my wife, my sisters, and my dad, and everybody. So, but she, you know, she was unbelievable. You know, similar to Adrian, she really taught me the importance of hard work and just how to work for what you want. And um, you know, I wasn't blessed with, you know, some tremendous athleticism that, you know, some of these guys in the NBA have nowadays. You know, I just was blessed with a great mom who instilled a great work ethic in me. And so, you know, obviously I was blessed with a lot of height. She was 6'1", So she definitely
Oh,
helped me
okay.
on that department.
Yeah.
So, as far as naturally, obviously being 6'8", 6'9", that helps a lot.
Right.
But as far as, everything else, I mean, she's one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, why I'm here is because of those things that she instilled in me at a very young age. Instead of just getting the candy and everything from the store, she'd say, okay, if you want that candy, you need to come back to the house and sweep the floor.
Yeah.
When you sweep the floor, now you can go get that candy. And
Yeah.
putting together those two things. Like, all right, well, if I want something, I have to work for it. I can't just
Yeah.
have it because nothing
Hmm.
on this earth is just given to you. You have to work for it. And so
Yeah.
for her to instill those things in me and my sisters from a very young age, she's definitely the biggest influence on my life, and definitely helped me make it to where I am today.
You both talked about uh, the work ethic that you uh, got an example from your mom, your dad. And I remember Adrian as a player in college and in his pro career. I've seen you, Anthony. Both of you guys are testimonies to what work can do when you pursue it the way you guys did. Because you, Anthony, weren't really a shooter, if I recall, coming out of college. I mean, you
I
were a
was
guy who played inside and did a lot of the extra, the offensive putbacks, running the floor, back to the basket. And now you're one of those kind of stretch fours that Adrian talks about, and that's a testimony to your work. Talk to me a little bit about what keeps you focused and persevering in the work, outside of the example of your mom, and for you, Adrian, obviously your dad. But first, Anthony, talk about what keeps you pursuing and persevering in the work that you've done over the years.
Oh, well, to tell you the truth, I just don't know any different. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I said, from a really young age. My mother kind of instilling that thought process into my head, and that focus, that intensity that it takes to become a great basketball player. Those same things apply to being great in business, being great, at coaching, being great at being a doctor. I mean, all those things that anything that you want to do, it all comes down to, well, how hard do you want to work, and how what do you want to get out of it? And so, as a basketball player, um, you know, coming out of college, like you said, uh, I was really a center. I was an undersized center, because I was one of the biggest guys on our team, and that's what the team needed. And I've always been a team guy, so I say, hey, whatever team needs me to do, I'll do it. And I've always had a good shooting touch, but that wasn't what they needed me to do. So, but I knew all along that in order to make it to the NBA, I could see the trend of the stretch four starting back when I was in college, and a little bit before that, with Dirk,
Mm.
he kind of started it really with Don Nelson, kind of implementing him in a different way, and then the Robert Ory's and guys like that, and I just kept watching these guys and like I feel like I can do that. Obviously, got to become a great shooter, and only way to become a great shooter is by putting in the time.
Mm.
So, for me, it was just all about, what, like all these things that, I've been taught my entire life. It applies to right now, and it applies to this exact situation. So, it was really an easy thing, for me. Like I said, this is just me. So after I'm done playing basketball, I'm gonna take those same concepts and that same attitude towards whatever I do, with the businesses that I'm involved in, businesses that maybe I'll get involved in the future. That same mindset, that same thought process is going to apply to any of that. And, I think it'll be successful just like I've been, the first 30 years of my life.
Adrian, what allows you to persevere in the work? I mean, what kept you striving in the work that was required to get to where you got to?
Well, like I said before, I had a great example from my father who basically started from nothing and just had a vision and just watching them in action, taking the steps to achieve it. Um, what I found that a lot of people talk themselves out of their goals. A lot of people tell you it's too high. You set your goals too high. I remember coming out of high school, because I was a kid from Wichita, Kansas. They thought I couldn't play in the Big East, but I ended up going to Seton Hall and having a pretty solid career. Then when I didn't get drafted, people said I couldn't play in the league, and I ended up playing 9 years. And now my goal is to become a head coach. I always believe in just setting your goal high. And it's important to have a great support staff. Like I was saying before, my father was just tremendous and encouraged me along the way. And now I have my fiance, who's probably my toughest coach that I ever faced. If I use the incorrect word, if I don't pronounce it correctly, she'll jump on me. Sometimes I call her Bobby Knight. The way she gets on me. So, but you need people to help you. You can't get anywhere in life. But I'm driven because what I was exposed to as a young kid, and I truly believe that anything is possible if you believe it, if you're willing to to pay the price, and that's the key. Anything worth having, you're gonna have to fight for it, and that's okay because a lot of times your setbacks is what catapults you forward. Like when I didn't get drafted, I went into CBA and I had to, the knock on me was, I didn't move like a guard. I didn't shoot like a guard. I didn't handle the ball like a guard. So I spent 3 years working on that. And, if I didn't take that route, there's no offense to playing overseas because that's a great living, but I would never have made the NBA. I would have, probably went overseas and started my career there. So, things happen for a reason, and you just have to find the good in it, and keep working on your craft, keep believing, and it sounds simple, but it is simple. The victory is given to the person that doesn't give up. Because we're all gonna face hardships. So, I was fortunate to have some good teaching, some good life skills from a very good man, and I try to pass that on to my kids, and just let them know that they can achieve anything in life if they're willing to pay the price.
Yeah, excellent. Anthony, I want to give you a chance to tell us a little bit about your shirt. I see active in Jesus' name I play, active faith. Kind of embellish on that for us. We're moving towards our last 5 or 6 minutes. If there are folks out there listening and you have questions, you've got about a 5-minute shot clock to get them in. But tell us a little bit about your shirt, Anthony.
So, as we talked about earlier, with business and basketball and family and all that different stuff. Well, Active Faith is one of the businesses that I'm involved in. So, quick background with it. The creator, his name is Lanny Smith, and he was one of my teammates in the D League. And like Adrian said, I'm a true believer in everything happening for a reason. So, I've played in the D League and overseas and everything else and met all kinds of people. But to me, this is a divine appointment, because he actually had a knee injury that ended his whole career. And that doesn't happen very often nowadays, but it was one of those so horrific that it did. And so, he was a great player, and he thought he was going to play 10 years, but God had a different plan for him and for us. So, long story short, he ended up coming to me about a year later with this idea to start this company called Active Faith and have it be, the Nike of Christian athletic apparel. And I said, let's do it. Let's put together, some ideas and everything else, and the rest is history. Now we're about 4 or 5 years in, and have some of the best football, basketball, baseball, all kinds of different athletes. Not necessarily, signed with us or anything like that. We don't have that type of money yet. But just representing, Christ through, a lot of guys wear these bands, Active Faith in Jesus Name I Play bands. Steph Curry wears it religiously every single game. Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers. Ray Lewis was a big fan of Active Faith. Him and all those guys wore them in the Super Bowl that they won, and so we've had great great influential people wear our bands and stuff like that, and but now it's we used to be known as a rubber band company because so many people saw our rubber band, but we actually do make a lot of great athletic wear and stuff like that. So the whole focus on it was just to make Jesus more famous. As much as we can, put his name on anything and everything we can. And you going into the gym, for me, instead of wearing Under Armour or anything else, I wear something like this, and might get some questions about it and open some doors about talking about my faith, which with a regular generic Nike shirt, you're not going to talk about your faith with somebody from your Nike shirt, so something like this is just another door to open up the conversation about your faith, and that was our whole objective from the beginning. So it's God's really blessed it, and it's going really well.
Fantastic. Hey, you guys both throughout our conversation and discussion tonight have talked about faith and hard work and the examples that you've had from different people, primarily your mom for you, Anthony, and your dad for you, Adrian. You mentioned also that you don't succeed alone, that you need other people to support you, to encourage you. If you would, both of you, talk about how important it is for you guys to be involved in encouraging others in their journeys. Adrian, you're doing it obviously as a coach directly, but talk about where faith comes into play for you in being an encourager to others by how you go about your business, your life, your work.
Well, I think for me, you realize that you never know what someone is going through, and a kind word goes a long way. I know when I was trying to come up and break in, and all the struggles that I had, with my confidence, when you're not drafted and play in the NBA, you look in the locker room, and you're looking at number one picks and lottery picks, and all these guys come from top-notch schools and huge contract, and then you look at yourself and you're like, man, do I really belong in this room? But I've had great teammates, great coaches that encouraged me along the way. I try to do the same thing as a lot of these men, and I use that loosely because they're very young men. A lot of them are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, and they're trying to find their way through life. And so I try to keep that in mind when I'm, building a relationship with them. And like Anthony said, it does give you an opportunity to share your faith and share what God has done for you. And I think that's part of the reason God has put us in these positions, is to be an example and to be a voice for him, because if we're not, I think we're doing not just ourselves, but everyone else, that we come across an injustice. And I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for what my father instilled in me about the Lord and about having faith and living for Christ. So, the NBA is very challenging, but you find those rewards when you can tell somebody, hey man, just hang in there. I've been there before. Everything's going to be all right. And that's the rewards you get, and that's why I enjoy coaching.
Yeah, amen. Anthony, how about you pick up on that theme of encouraging and what that means to you as a Christ follower to be an encourager in the places that God puts you.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like I said from the beginning of the talk, is all the different places that God has put me. You know, I don't look at it as I know that most people say it's an NBA journeyman, but for me, it's just about being a journeyman for God, and honestly, all the doors that have opened for me, even when like I said, I wasn't drafted just like Adrian, and a lot of people didn't think that I was going to make it. But now I'm going on my 10th year, in the, as a professional and 9th year in the NBA, so it's just, it's one of those things like, God had a plan for both of us, and, my journey is still going at this point, so, as an encourager, it's one of those things like, uh, like we said earlier, you can't do this alone. This is way too hard. Not just the basketball part, but just the lifestyle, everything about it it's not easy. It's not just glory. It's not just money and fun stuff that most people associate with being a professional athlete. There's a lot of great things, but there's also a lot of things that are tough. And so over the years, I've had many people be really great encouragers for me, especially in keeping my faith, first and foremost in my life. And so as a Christ follower, as someone who takes their faith very seriously, I really feel like Adrian said, like God has put us in these positions for a reason, to be an encourager and to be someone that can help not only the people around us, our family and friends and stuff, but our teammates, the guys that are in our locker room. So over the years, I've started a couple of different Bible studies for my teams, and I expected maybe one, two guys show up here and there. I didn't really expect much, but each time it'd be 7, 8, 9 guys, every single time. And so it just showed me that this is something that is needed and it's wanted. It's just that there's not a lot of people that are willing to step out of their comfort zone and do it. So for me, like I said, it's something that I take very seriously, and I try to take advantage of all the different situations that God puts me in.
Well, as a fellow brother in the Lord, it's been a treat to connect with you guys again on this platform, in this venue. And I just want to commend you both for being the examples that you are, where God has placed you, using your influence to not only further the kingdom, but to show other people the head, the heart, and the hands of the Lord, and to do that based on your personalities and the opportunities God gives you. And thank you for your time tonight. Before I close, though, as much as I enjoyed interacting with Anthony and Adrian, we had one other that was going to be with us tonight, Mike Penberthy, who played his college basketball for the Masters College in Santa Clarita, California, was a two-time NAIA All-American, also was a member of the Lakers' 2001 NBA championship team. That season averaged 5 points a game, 40% three-point shooting. Played also overseas in Italy and Germany. Mike was going to join us tonight, but unfortunately was not able to. Ricky Rubio, an outstanding young guard for the Minnesota Timberwolves, just lost his mom recently, and Mike Penberthy is with the family offering support to them. So he wasn't able to join us, but wanted our listeners and viewers to know that Mike was scheduled to be here, unable to be here because of that unfortunate circumstance. So we send our prayers out to the Rubio family, to Mike. And again, thanks to Anthony Toliver, Adrian Griffin. Mike, Adrian, continue your quest. I anticipate at some point you'll be in that real hot seat as an NBA head coach. And Anthony, continue your journey. And both of you guys, thanks so much for the example that you set and the lives that you guys are living unto the glory of God. So thank you very much, folks, for joining us. This was our final Spreecast BCI Courtside live event of the season. We look forward to connecting again when the balls start bouncing in the fall again. All right, with that, we'll sign off, and good night, everybody. Again, thanks, Adrian and Anthony. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one.
All righty.